everyone, today I am just going to be doing a short video for you comparing the Beauty Blender sponge and the Real Techniques Complexion sponge. I'm sure that there are tons of different videos out there comparing these two, but I thought that I would give you my opinions and some of you might find this helpful. In short, and the reason this video probably will not be too long is because I feel like these two products are pretty much identical. If you guys aren't familiar with these, which if you watch YouTube at all, I can't imagine why you wouldn't know what the Real Techniques Complexion Sponge or Beauty Blender is, because literally everybody has one or two or three or has both or has multiples of each one. It is just basically a cosmetic sponge that is made out of a non-absorbent, non-latex based kind of material, and so you're supposed to wet it and then it doesn't absorb as much of your makeup, and it just kind of gives you a more flawless, more kind of airbrushed look. For some people, brushes are really hard to use because they cause a lot of micro exfoliation on the skin. And that's why I prefer to use sponges over brushes, is because any of my dry spots, I just find that brushes just tend to kind of exaggerate them because I'm exfoliating over that area. And then sometimes too, for people with really oily skin, they get a lot of brush streaks, and you know, that's not very attractive. For that reason, these kind of sponges are amazing as compared to your typical cosmetic wedge sponges that you can get at, like, you know, your drugstores and stuff. They're just kind of those plain little latex sponges, because those are nowhere in comparison to this. And if that is kind of the sponge that you're used to, something like this will blow your mind, because these are a million times easier to use, they're a million times quicker to use, and they don't absorb as much of your makeup. So if you use anything like that, you know, put those things away. Definitely pick up one of these, because these are, like I said, just a million times better. The cool thing with these kind of sponges too, and something that I've learned a lot throughout using these, is that they can be used for more than just your liquid foundations. These can be used for bronzer, blush, powder, so many different products. And usually you don't think to use kind of something that's wet for powder products, but because of the material that this is made out of, it actually makes your powders look beautiful. I think that for mineral foundations, you will still get a much better result with an actual mineral foundation brush or something that's kind of going to buff it in more, just because I find that if you're looking for the foundation look with powder foundation, you definitely are probably going to want to use a brush, because this delivers such a light application of powder. But you know, in terms of setting your makeup, that's what makes these so nice when you are using them for powder products. I have tried using these with blush and bronzer, and it's not that they're the worst to use with blush and bronzer. I just don't think that they're the best. I like the more controlled look I can get with a brush. You know, I just find that like some type of an angle there works a lot better. And something like this, it's not impossible to blend it out, but I just like kind of the lighter, fluffier application a brush gives you. But you can use these with more than just your foundation, is what I'm kind of getting at. Honestly, as I said in the beginning, I do not see a difference between these two. Oh gosh, is everything okay back there? Okay. I honestly think that these feel exactly the same. I know that the whole material that these are made out of, or at least the Beauty Blender, is kind of like top secret or whatever, but honestly they feel exactly the same. I mean, there's no difference, especially once you wet these down. The biggest difference between these two products is the price tag. This is $20 and this is like $7, and these are products that you're supposed to replace every about 3 months or so. So they're not like a brush where you know, basically buy it once and then you have it for years, or if you take proper care of it, you have it for a long time. These are products that no matter how good you are with your, you know, cleansing and everything, they are just naturally going to deteriorate, and you know, your nails are going to get into them. And you know, they're sponges. They're not at all sturdy, so they're just going to break down a lot more than a brush will. So I think you need to consider that too when you're thinking about the price difference between these two. And I've heard a lot of people too say that nothing compares to the Beauty Blender, that the Beauty Blender is the only kind of sponge that you should be using to apply your makeup with, but I really feel like the Real Techniques one is exactly the same. And I wouldn't, of course, tell you guys this unless I totally believed it. And I know that a lot of people do say that the Beauty Blender knockoffs suck, and I will totally agree that most of the kind of more egg-shaped Beauty Blender knockoffs that you can find at like TJ Maxx, or you know, that like Sonia Kashuk has or Ulta has, they're not good. They really do suck. They're not made out of the same very, very soft material. But Real Techniques just got it right, and theirs has that really soft, just really nice, pouncy material that will apply the foundation beautifully, that won't absorb too much product, and will just make your makeup look flawless. The other thing that I like too about the Real Techniques one is I really like this flat edge that it has. I find that I'm able to apply a lot more, just cover a lot more surface area with this, as opposed to the bottom of this guy, which is what I typically use when I am applying this and using it for foundation. So I do like that about it. I kind of prefer the point on the Beauty Blender for some reason. I just think it's a little bit more precise than the point on this one is. But regardless, it is such a big price difference, especially if you're like me and you tend to repurchase these guys like crazy because they're the only method of applying foundation that you like. I definitely recommend going with the Real Techniques one. I owned a Beauty Blender forever ago, and I just recently purchased this because I was wanting to do this video because the last time I owned a Beauty Blender, this guy wasn't invented yet, and so the Beauty Blender was really the only good foundation sponge out there on the market. But as soon as I picked up this, I remember thinking it was so similar, but I decided to try this again, and honestly, I'm just kind of disappointed I spent $20 on a sponge because this guy is exactly the same. So if for some reason you're still debating between the two, or if you're just curious, I definitely prefer this one. I just think the price is better. I think that the overall application is a little bit easier because of the way that this is shaped compared to the Beauty Blender, which like I said is just kind of like your typical egg shape. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. If you guys have any other questions regarding these sponges, please let me know. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.